Yo guys, what's good? As here once again with another Exos series video. In today's video we're talking a little bit about damage mitigation. So let's jump into it. Alright, so over the last weekend I have done a lot of testing to find out the different damage mitigation values that enemies have in the game. And what I found out is rather disturbing. So let's jump into my Excel sheet that I made for this. So what I've done, let me explain this first. I've went into the different stages, got the defense value from the heroes, got my attack value, and in case you're wondering why this changes in terms of the other statistics, I have not swapped out the hero. However, in some stages the defense and the attack is actually increased for your hero. I guess it's just a boost, and I had to get a very low value, so that's why I went into this stage, but it seems to still be correct because it's percentage based. So regularly you have a hit and it has a damage range, right? So you have the minimum attack range and your maximum attack range, and that you can see once you're actually hovering over some enemy with your auto attack. It doesn't tell you how much damage you will actually deal because there is a mitigation. So I went ahead and did a lot of auto attacks against enemies and mapped out everything. Was it a hit? Was it a block? Was it a crit? And try to get some general sense for that. So in terms of defense, I went up 300, 440, 640-ish, 890, then 1100, 1300, 1600, 1800, and 2200. I don't know if there is some higher targets. I haven't played around with that. However, we did this in every stage and the numbers are fairly consistent. As you can see from this little plotting that I've done for all the values that I've taken, the trend line is very linear, which surprises me, because in other games you have like damage mitigation based on an exponential curve where the more defense you have, at some point you have diminishing returns. However, this doesn't really seem to be the case here. And if you would plot this down further the line, you would actually get to like a very straight line, which surprises me. So I wonder if there is actually a breakpoint and I just need higher damage values. I'm not exactly sure about that. So if you know, if you want to do some more testing, feel free. I share the sheet and you can take everything that I have and add it to your data. I will try to add more data to this. But I'm fairly concerned if it's a linear value, then defense stacking is actually a really insane way to mitigate damage for enemies. And this can also mean that like things that are based on defense are really hard hitting or damage mitigation. Block seems to follow a similar kind of trend. The higher I went into defense, the more damage got blocked in the end, but this is due to the mitigation itself, in my opinion. So there seems to be like maybe there's a 50% damage reduction, and then you multiply it with the mitigation to get these values. I think that is roughly the case. Maybe 55% is always a block, and then the rest is mitigated from the defense. So what does this mean in particular? I've done some damage penetration testing, and I was under the assumption that defense would scale exponentially, that at some point you have a diminishing return. However, if that's not the case, it might be that a 15% damage penetration might actually be really solid the higher the defense per unit becomes. I'm not sure about that because I would need to test in way higher defense values to see if there's some diminishing returns, but I haven't found the time nor the units yet to test this. In terms of my data, I've done all the tests with my Astarte at 6 star with this attack value. This is the average attack value, and these are the numbers that you see when you hover over an enemy with the auto attack, with the basic attack, and you can see that these are the damage ranges. I went from the minimum damage, so I basically went through, tried to find the minimum damage that I had. Here it might be the 1482, 1426. So that is like the absolute minimum that I had. And then in terms of damage, I also tried to see what was the maximum damage, and I took an average from that, what the average value is, and compared it with the attack value. I haven't done anything with crits, but it seems fairly normal. Like this seems like an 80% increase from what a regular hit does, and my starter has 180, and then the block, as you can see mapped out here, is around 60% for this. It's a rather short video. It was something that I wanted to do, and I don't know yet if there is something we can play around with that. Maybe it helps us figuring out some more things down the line. Alright, and that's already it. If you like videos like this, consider subscribing. I will do more and more. I've done a couple of live streams on my Twitch channel recently where we go over some small details like that. And yeah, the next things that I want to get into is burst damage testing and bite damage testing. However, it's fairly complicated in terms of adding the numbers up because they overlap too much. But at some point I will get into it. Give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment, tell me what you think about it. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, enjoy the grind.